With a strike rate of 22%, a total of 195 winners for the season, some 43 winners ahead of his nearest contender, veteran jockey Anthony Delpech takes the South African National Jockey Championship for the 2017 season.
We recognise our champion jockey of the year. Here's a gentleman who saw the opportunity this season and took the bull by the horns and decided to run with it. Another one for Anthony Delpech.
At age 48, for Anthony Delpech, this is the third South African National Jockey Championship title of his illustrious career.
Well, it's fantastic, as it was never my intention to chase the title this year, but I found myself in a position where I thought I could win, and I put my head down the last 3 months and I achieved it. And it's fantastic. I mean, it was 13 years ago my last one, so it took a while to get my third one.
Very special, very, very special. Probably the most special out of all three, just because you can remember it, Others were a long time ago. I'm extremely proud of him, a lot of hard work, but I think we appreciate it. We're older now, and our kids are older as well. So for Damon to appreciate and Chelsea to see their dad, they were only little. They don't know what a South African championship, So now they do really appreciate it more.
Anthony is a brand. It does make my life easier when you have a jockey that is professional as him, because he's a brand. He's created his name over a number of years, internationally and locally. So, when it comes to trainers, let's just call it reliable when it comes to Delpech. So when it comes to his ability in the saddle and the way he goes about doing things, that's half my battle won.
Yes, it is the ultimate achievement, because it takes a lot of family time away and a lot of hard work. I mean, you spend 3 to 4 days on an aeroplane, and you leave home at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you get back home at 10, 11 o'clock at night. So it is very stressful and very tiring. So the guy that does achieve it deserves it.
Anthony Delpech took his first National Jockey Championship in the 1998-99 season. In the process, he set up an all-time record that remains unbeaten today, a total of 345 winners for the season. In addition, he chalked up 100 winners in the first 3 months of the season.
My first 100 winners I rode in 3 months. So I had the most amazing start, and I just worked very hard. I was still very young, and I think you learn to appreciate it a bit more when you're older. So I most probably didn't appreciate it as much as I'm appreciating this one. But it was fantastic. I was riding for David Ferraris in Johannesburg, and down here I was riding for Herman Brown. And in Port Elizabeth, I was riding for Alan Greef, Almain Greef actually. So I had a lot of very strong yards behind me, but there I started from the word go. I pressed from the beginning.
For Anthony, 1998 was turning out to be a great year. With his eye firmly on the championship, he took the prestigious JMB Met on Imperious Sue.
Shah Star is trying hard. North by Northwest has his nose in front. Imperious Sue is coming with every stride. Imperious Sue, North by Northwest. Here it comes, desperately close. Imperious Sue, North by Northwest. Smart money in behind it.
Riding the crest of the wave, he followed up with his first Durban July handicap victory on Classic Flag for David Ferraris.
Running on strongly, Ferromon down the inside, flying dual, but Classic Flag has come over from 18, and Classic Flag won it this.
I think that was my first real big one for David. I won 1 or 2 in Johannesburg for them, but that was my real first big one.
I was there, I had Damon in my arms, shouting from the 300-meter mark. A bit of a lunatic when he does win, but it was amazing,
Classic Flag was a very small horse, but he was a very good horse. I won a lot of races on him, and I rate him. He was a fantastic horse. He raced amongst the times of Jetmaster. He beat Jetmaster. So he is a very talented horse.
With the South African Championship and 2 of South Africa's biggest racing events under his belt, Anthony then set off to ride in Singapore. In support was wife Candice, with 2 small babies, Damon and Chelsea. It was all going so well, and then 3 months in, fate dealt Anthony a cruel blow.
I was just starting to pick up in Singapore, and I had a very nasty fall. I was leading the race and the horse broke his leg, and I smashed my whole face.
That was really difficult because we had sort of just arrived, only been there for 2 or 3 months, didn't really know anybody, and I had to leave my kids with a babysitter at the hotel we stayed with that I didn't even know.
I had to have plastic surgery on my face because my whole lip was cut right off.
And yeah, he was in surgery for 4 hours, so leaving the kids, shooting back to the hotel, going back to see Ant, with the operation and that, so it was difficult. It is difficult living overseas without family and friends for their support, yeah.
For Anthony, it was a nasty setback, putting him out of racing for some 2 to 3 months. For Candice, it is a haunting memory she carries with her even today.
It's on your mind 24 hours a day, even just driving to the airport and flying. I do worry about him, make sure he's landed when he does, and riding in a race. I mean, anything can happen at any time, And it's the only sport in the world where an ambulance follows your husband from behind him while he's riding, So I just watch him. That's my biggest fear, because your life can change in a split second.
Back home in South Africa, picking himself up, Anthony identified and focused on his next big goal, Hong Kong.
I was always trying to get into ride in Hong Kong, and it took me a very, very long time to get in, and I thought the only way that they might accept me back in Hong Kong is to try and win the championship again. And that's when I did really go for it, and I achieved it again.
His goal identified, on the comeback trail, Anthony worked harder than ever. And in the 2003 season, Anthony once again took the South African National Jockey Championship for the second time in his career.
I had my mind set on what I want to do and how I want to do it. So I did have a plan how to win it, because I had already won it, and I knew if I did these the right way, I had more of a chance of winning it. And I'm very lucky I had strong stables behind me, which helped me a lot, and that made me achieve it.
With a second National South African Jockey Championship under his belt, having more than proved himself in South Africa, Anthony was invited by the Hong Kong Jockey Club to come over and ride in Hong Kong. Near the end of his first season in Hong Kong, not forgotten back home in South Africa, Anthony got a call from trainer Mike de Kock, inviting him to take the ride on Mrs. Oppenheimer's Gray's Inn in the 2004 Durban July Handicap.
I was riding in Hong Kong. It was towards the end of our season, so I was allowed to come back. Mike phoned me and asked me, he said, Mrs. Oppenheimer would like you to come and ride Gray's Inn. And I was very lucky, because in Hong Kong we ride very light, so my weight was very, very low, as Gray's Inn only had 50.5 kgs, so I was lucky to make the weight. I did work him prior to the race, and he had shown very good work, and his form showed that he had to have a chance. I think the only question mark is if he pulled a bad draw, and we thought, well, and it's going to be hard, because he was a difficult horse in a race. You had to settle him, but things did really work out well for us.
From an extreme outside draw on the 3rd of July 2004, Anthony brought home Gray's Inn by 2.5 lengths to chalk up the second Durban July Handicap victory of his career.
Gray's Inn swoops into the lead, the last 150, and Gray's Inn, this day belongs to Gray's Inn, drawing away.
Back in Hong Kong, Anthony continued his successful relationship with ex-South African trainer David Ferraris, and in the process formed a memorable partnership with the formidable Vengeance of Rain.
We all stayed at Sharton. We've got apartments with the club jockeys, all stay there. It's right next door to the racecourse. Yeah, it was a fantastic experience. I learned a lot, and I'm just very lucky to have been riding one of the best horses in my career, which is Vengeance of Rain. Well, it shows you in racing is sometimes you need to be at the right place in luck. I was never riding a Vengeance of Rain because he had 113 pounds. That's about 51 kgs, and Glenn Schofield was actually engaged to ride the horse. And David had given him the ride, but he said to David he couldn't make the weight. He'll ride at 115, that's 2 pounds more. So David said, I don't want the horse to ride 115. So, and spoke to me, I was there at the same time. He says, can you ride 113? I said, yes, of course I can. And that's how I end up on Vengeance of Rain.
Stand by for the Mercedes-Benz Derby. Flag up, crowd gives them a roar, and they're away.
I won 7 Group 1 races on him, and in Hong Kong, the Derby is the ultimate race, and as a jockey, as a trainer, To win the Derby was a great thing. That was my first big one in Hong Kong. I won the Derby.
Two to make up, but Vengeance of Rain is pulling out more. What a great 4-year-old. Vengeance of Rain runs away, wins by 2.
And I end up winning the QE2.
Vengeance of Rain and Grace in cutting him back. Vengeance of Rain, the Derby winner, wins the...
I won the Hong Kong Cup, which those are the 3 major races in Hong Kong. I won the Gold Cup, won the Gold Vase on him.
In front, Vengeance of Rain, a fighting win it will be. He draws the green treasure. Vengeance of Rain wins by...
And then we went to Dubai, and on World Cup night we ended up winning the Shima Classic.
But it's Vengeance of Rain clear, short of 50 metres left to go, and it's Hong Kong Shima Classic.
Yeah, I was very proud of him. I'd love to do it all over again. It was difficult because Chelsea was 6 weeks old and our son was 3 years old, Damon, and we lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, so it was quite difficult. But it was a fantastic experience for Ant. Ant did very well over there. I wouldn't have it any other way. Although it was hard without parents and family and that there, 4 of us on a Christmas day having Christmas dinner together. You know, it was lonely, very lonely, but I was glad to come back. There's nothing like home.
It wasn't about racing, it was about my family life. I had to make a decision. Was my children going to go to school in Hong Kong? They were starting to go to high school. Or did I want to send them back and let them be on their own at boarding school? Yeah, and me and my family being very close, we decided to, rather we all came back home, and that's the reason I really left Hong Kong.
A highlight and rite of passage in his career, Anthony carries an indelible reminder of Hong Kong and the greatest racehorse he ever rode, Vengeance of Rain, tattooed on his left shoulder. Back in South Africa, Anthony teamed up with the Mike de Kock yard.
Well, Kevin Shea was riding for Mike de Kock in Dubai, and he heard that I was going to come back, so he says to me, why don't you ride for Mike? And Kevin actually spoke to Mike, and that's how I ended up. As I arrived here, I already had a job and started to ride for Mike from then. I've ridden a lot of very good horses for Mike. I've been so lucky to be associated with a stable that is so powerful. Coming back and riding for Mike, people started to recognize me a bit more. I think because obviously I was always there in the chance for the big race, or riding a horse that can win a big race. That's because I was in such a powerful yard, and I'm grateful. And 8 years I rode for him, and I'm still riding for him. Although I'm not his stable jockey, I ride a lot of winners for him.
Teaming up with Mike de Kock, Anthony Delpech took his second J&B Met, as well as another 2 Durban July handicaps, bringing his career total to 4. The first was on Bold Silvano in 2010.
Bold Silvano's in front, Irish Flames trying, but Bold Silvano a wing on every hoof.
The next year, in 2011, Anthony followed up on Igugu for his 4th Durban July handicap victory.
It's Igugu and Pierre Jourdan, English Gardens flying, Igugu! Flash of fire blazed through the field to beat Pierre Jourdan.
Anthony and Igugu then took the 2012 J&B Met.
I've been very lucky to be associated with Igugu. I think she's definitely the best filly I rode in South Africa. She was phenomenal. In South Africa, the July's got to be the ultimate race. Even from a kid growing up at the academy, everyone spoke about the July. It's the ultimate race and everybody wants to win it. I mean, you can see the face on the jockeys in the jockey room before we go out, how so many of them want to win it. And from number 1 to number 20, if you ask any jockey, has he got a chance? Everyone thinks they got a chance. So it is the race that we all want to win it, and I'm so lucky to have won it 4 times.
Born in the Seychelles on the 10th of February 1969, Anthony emigrated with his family to Durban at age 13. After attending Glenwood High School, he joined the Jockey Academy in 1984, graduating 3 years later in December 1987.
The academy here in South Africa is very good. And, you know, it teaches you to do everything the right way. And that's where the quality of our South African jockeys can hold their own anywhere around the world, is because of the grounding from the beginning at the academy.
For Anthony, looking back over his illustrious career, even though he has always worked extremely hard, he is highly appreciative of whatever support and good fortune he has received that has helped him on his way.
That's one thing in racing. So many jockeys have got so much ability, but they do not get the break. I was very, very lucky. As I finished my apprenticeship, I was champion apprentice, and I had seen a lot of good riders not getting opportunities, and I said to myself, now that you're on your own, you have to work 10 times harder than what you worked as an apprentice. And I said to myself, I'm going to be the first one at work and the last one to leave work every day. And it worked for me. I worked so hard, but I got the opportunities. I got that break in life, which so many other jockeys do not get that break in life. And that's how it all started.
Essential to his success, in Anthony's corner the past 3 seasons, has been his agent, Dees Dayana.
Dees has been my agent for the last 3 years, and he plays a big role in my success, as he has to pick the right rides. But not just picking the right rides, he's a person that people likes, and that's so important in racing.
Without the trainer's support, you must understand that in Natal, the nominations are anything from 30 to 120 horses that are nominated per race. So when the noms come out, it's not just pressing buttons and choosing the right rides. You have to sift through that information. You need to build up a relationship with trainers and work closely with them. And I think the essence is building bridges. Whether the horse wins, loses, runs last, runs second to last, it's all for future reference with trainers. And I try to do that to the best of my ability with trainers, keep a good relationship with them.
You got to have the likable guy that phones the trainers and things go wrong, he still laughs, and his ways towards people makes a big difference. After every winner, what he sends to every trainer, I've never had an agent that's ever done something like that. He has done an excellent job, and he's a very talented agent.
With 3 children, son Damon and daughters Chelsea and Brooklyn, Anthony and Candice have been married for 21 years.
I'm very lucky. My wife and my kids are very passionate, and my wife's always behind me. When I get on the plane at the airport, she's phoning me, are you safe? When I finish my last race, she knows how well I've done on the day. She's so supportive, and as lucky as I am and as well as I've done, if I didn't have them, I don't think I would have been able to achieve it. The amount of traveling we have to do if you want to win the championship is very hard on your family life. I mean, you get up at 6 o'clock, we have to go to work first, train in the morning, and then catch a plane, and we get back home at 10 o'clock. I think I missed the first part of my kids growing up. I was never ever there. And that's why this season I decided to go for the championship. My son said to me, he said, Dad, I've never appreciated you winning it, as I was so small. And I said to him, my boy, I'm too old to do this anymore. And he said, come on, Dad, you better them all. And I really think that's what pushed me to do it this year. I did it for my family more than myself. To have your son to say that to you, I think that's why I went out. I was doing it for my kids, as I didn't want to let them down.
In the final 4 months of the season, Anthony lifted his game to a different level and absolutely excelled.
The Great One, and last winter there's nothing in it. Last winter and the Great One, it's a head-bobbing duel. They hit the line.
Riding every meeting at Greyville, Scottsville, Turffontein and the Vaal, from April to July 2017, Anthony rode over 50 winners.
Inside Argyle Bay, but it's Dark Moon Rising over the last 100 metres, and Dark Moon Rising going on to win it. Dark Moon Rising won it. Baltic.
Without fail, every consecutive week he rode doubles, trebles and even 4 winners on the day.
And Blazing Winter comes at Storm Ferry. Blazing Winter in the last lunge, going to get there. Blazing Winter won it.
He's riding. I mean, it just went to another level. And trainers notice that. When you're traveling, trainers notice that, and they see the sport that's riding so well.
Still Babushka Story goes with 50 metres to go, still leads by 3 lengths, and Babushka Story is just going to hold them off, I think. Babushka Story, I think the line just came in time.
Beside trainers, owners notice it as well, and you find owners phoning trainers and telling them that they want Anthony to ride the horse if he's coming up, and that's also a help. So
100 metres to go, and Dally is clear of the opposition. Pick of My Heart is away in second, and Dally has been given a monumental ride here by Delpech. He's won it well by 3 lengths.
You are your advert as a jockey, and your advert is how you're riding and how many winners you have.
Shogun in front, West Coast Warrior. Gentleman Only has come out the pack. Shogun still in front. It's just going to last long enough, and Shogun will win it tight for second.
And if you can do that on a weekly basis, there are very few trainers out there that will refuse you rides.
But in front, Dame Kelly is 2.5 lengths clear of Shepherd's Delight, and it'll be a treble today for Delpech, and it's a good win here. Dame Kelly wins by 2.
As this year's National South African Champion jockey, Anthony was invited to ride as part of the rest of the world team to compete at Ascot in the prestigious Sugar Cup meeting.
This is going to be my first time riding in England. I've always wanted to ride there, and obviously it's another chapter in my career to be riding there, and looking forward to it.
Flying the flag for South Africa and the rest of the world team, his first time riding in the UK, Anthony won the curtain raiser event at Ascot on Glenys the Menace.
Down the outside is Glenys the Menace, sweeping down the outer under Anthony Delpech, and it's going to be Glenys the Menace that denies Contango but makes it a 1-2 for the rest.
Anthony then narrowly missed a feature race double when going down a close second in the main Sugar Cup event.
To win the silver saddle.
Scottsville, 3rd of August 2017. In his first race of the new season, Anthony brings home the well-fancied Silver's Bullet in the second race for the Dean Cannemeyer stable.
Getting going late, and now comes down to 2 horses, Blazing Art, and on the inside Silver's Bullet and War Demon, but it goes to Silver's Bullet.
It's a great way to start the 2018 season.
Well, at 48 now, just won the South African Championship, so I'm feeling young again. Yeah, I've always said to myself, as long as I'm at the top of the top 5 and I'm successful and I'm doing well in my business, I'm going to stay riding.
For Agent D's, it's been a great partnership over the past 3 years, with 3 consecutive KZN Provincial Jockey Championships, culminating in the South African National Jockey Championship title for 2017.
The one thing that he does is he takes his job very seriously. So he's super fit. If he wants to go for a championship next season, I'll put my head down with him. He's a soldier, and I'll go to war with him when it comes to racing. But what I'd like, if you ask me that, is maybe a Vodacom Durban July winner, or a J&B Met winner, or a Summer Cup winner, or a Premium Champion Stake, one of those big 4.
Sponsored by Wilgebos Driftstud, looking to the coming season, Anthony's relationship with Mary and Jessica Slack has opened a new chapter in his career.
My new chapter is riding for Mary and Jessica, Mary being my retained boss, and it's our first season and we won the championship. And I look forward to now riding all the new babies that's coming in. That is where I want more of my success to be. Not a matter of how many winners, is how well I can do for them. Because that's what I look forward to. The trainer's phoning me, hey Anthony, we've got a couple of babies for Mary coming in. So I look forward to those young horses coming through, and hopefully along the way, we'll get 1 or 2 stars.
Looking to the future, we wish champion jockey Anthony Delpech and his family every continued success and good fortune in the years ahead.